Mark here, Action Figuratorium, and if you do toy photography indoors, you're either going to be shooting on blank colored backgrounds or you're going to use a playset or diorama. That's right. Today we are going to be doing a little show and tell about all the playsets I've acquired over the years and highlight to you how you can find these exact same playsets at thrift stores in the area where you live for next to nothing. So stick around and we'll see what we got. Okay, so first off, these are everywhere, and they make fantastic sort of 70s New York City street landscapes. These are FisherPrice Sesame Street playsets. What's great is that all these playsets that these guys make fold up, and so you can kind of carry it like it's a little amp, and unfolds and gives you a flat face. You can also shoot angles on it. There are, as far as I know, 3 of these Sesame Street playsets. I have 2, right? So there's this one as well. And this one's much more modern, and you can see all the plastic accents that they've put on it. If we go back to this one, right? This is pretty orange. This is pretty bright. So what I did is I took a dark wash and I went over the whole thing with a wash. You normally try and go for the cracks and sort of with a towel wipe off the rest and just sort of let it soak in. For me, I felt it looked best to do the whole thing to make it look kind of grimy. I intend to go back in and pick 2 colors and just do accents on, you know, fixtures like windows and doors and ledges and things like that, and maybe add a little creeping vine up the side. This works really great with homies. Here's a shot I did of some homies. Also, if you're into these mini-mates, right? And there's a this little character. It's no problem fitting in. You can use some more G.I. Joe Star Wars size characters. However, you need to start to push it back or put it a little bit out of frame. Here's a Micronauts Catwoman. I did using this as her, as just kind of a city backdrop, just to be in the background so you can see how these get used. Like I said, there's a third one that is similar, but the sides of the building have stickers on them that replicate the bricks rather than actual sculpted plastic. So I'm not going out of my way to get that. If I see one, I'll pick it up, but I'm not going to fight to get it. This one is still, as of yet, unpainted by me, but will go into effect soon enough on another Sunday. This is a FisherPrice Imaginex playset. This is a bit of the Orient, Asian inspired. This is great if you're doing anything with ninjas or samurai. This one is a great one that you could paint. I like to use the natural colors of the plastic, so keep the green green, keep the red red, keep the brown brown, right? Keep the castle colored, but go in, paint in the cracks with a wash. You could paint in the cracks of all this bronze stuff, or you could add a little bit of more bronze to it, a little more shiny metallic. I think it'd be cool to take like a brown wash and go over the wood parts of this and leave the rest kind of red, leave that kind of red shining through. There's not a lot to shoot on the inside. I didn't necessarily mention that the inside of the Sesame Street stuff was kind of usable too, but it's mostly corny stickers. So this has got some stuff inside. You've got a couple of Looks like weird statues and some ground, but it's not really the best area to put figures. But this, as a background motif, even with the weird demon face, looks kind of cool. And another cool thing is that this comes in a color variant, which I have acquired as well. This is sort of the green-blue version. And when I got mine, it was missing this little sidecar piece. This comes off. You'll find this at thrift stores all the time, missing this. And sometimes you'll find this on its own. I found it on its own one day. Remember what I paid? It was a couple dollars. Anyway, since this is missing its tower, it now gets that. And this is a pretty good set that you can find for under 10, probably about $5 at most any Goodwill. You just got to stick with it. All right, now the best castle play sets out there are Playmobil, but they are spendy. However, plenty of these FisherPrice Imaginex sets exist in the wild for next to nothing. If you were to buy this on eBay, you would spend about $30 minimum on the shipping. Whether it costs that or not, someone will charge that. On top of that, whatever else it costs. Now, the thing about all these Imaginex toys, their playsets, is they come with a lot of interactive cool gadgets. For example, on this one, there's a little lever at the top that a figure stands in, and when you trip it, all of a sudden, bam, these wings go up on the sides. This eagle head comes out. It actually is supposed to launch a disc or a dart. So it goes back in. There's a working gate. There is supposedly, see if I can find out where it's at. There are sounds that this device supposedly make. It could be that we are dead with batteries. There's light up torches on this thing. There's extra towers that are connected. You can bend this in a variety of ways. You could make it go off into the distance. You could do photography at a side, make it look really scrolling. Again, this is something that you could paint. You could put a wash over the green, keep it green, wash over the castle, keep it castle, and just do a couple accents here or there. This one actually doesn't need much. In fact, I'd put a little bit on the doors. The doors, of course, do open on the castle there. Plenty of fun stuff to shoot on this one. Inside of it, sometimes on the inside of these things, they have usable stuff too. Not great, right? Kind of usable, not great. It's got a cool like little cage door. You can put a guy in, maybe. It's mediocre, but available. Here's another one I acquired. Let's see here. This one, does it have the price tag on it still? All right, this one was $7. And it actually features this knight's helm that comes down. It drops down with a little lever. Opens it up. All these have little levers that do trapdoors or things that fold out. Drawbridge lowers. This is all great medieval castle stuff to put fantasy characters in front of. Doesn't matter the scale, right? Because you can just keep pushing the castle further and further into the background, right? So that all you see is a little bit of ramparts and whatnot, in which case, you know, you don't have to go too wild on your paint job as far as what the camera sees. This is kind of cool. You put your own cool insignia up here. I would paint that in. All looks pretty cool. I would say get yourself a really good, inexpensive FisherPrice Imaginex castle set. This is just two I have. If I got them, you can get them. and I think they have a few more equally kind of this big. Again, Playmobil are the best looking castles, but they are expensive even for parts and pieces, and at the end of the day they're the same scale. So I would keep picking these up as long as they keep sending them to me for cheap. Alright, this is one that I ended up having to spend some money on. I think I spent about $50 and change with the shipping to get this. It's kind of a lot. It's only missing one or two structural pieces. There are, of course, several of the oddball, weird accessories and figures missing, but quite a lot of them are included as well. It's a giant Playmobil Pyramid, and I got it because this thing is fantastic for any of that archaeological Indiana Jones type stuff where you want to have, you know, limestone looking blocks in the background. You want to have Egyptian pharaoh looking guys. You can take the walls off, and there's a little bit of filming that can be done inside. Got some shots of some Indiana Jones figs hanging out in there. There's a couple of different locations to put characters and other trappings in. Again, if you have all the cool you know, snakes and gold chalices that go with it, it's a bonus, but just having the set I think is worth investing in. But this is kind of a workhorse. It's got a lot of different sides, inside, outside, that you can use. You can also use just the capstone if you want. Well, I don't know if this is what the actual pyramid capstones look like since they are missing, but it's cool to have it. Anyways, this is an expensive dog. You can pay about 50 bucks for this if you have to have it shipped. If you're going to find it locally, you'll pay maybe it might be in a box, a garage sale for 10 bucks, 20, might be 30. If you see it at a Goodwill, it's going to be at least 15 to 20, which would be a steal. And if you do see this stuff, I highly recommend that you scoop it up. If you don't want to use it, or you're bummed that it's missing some parts and things like that, you can always part out the pieces and resell them. Lots of people will buy individual pieces for their collection just to make it work. I am going to snipe a couple myself to complete this dog, and I think that would be a total success. Okay, this play set is kind of everywhere. This is made by FisherPrice. This is their it's actually Play School, but I believe Play School is FisherPrice holding. This is their McDonald's tie-in play set. It's got stuff on the side like restrooms and garbage can. You can see the inside. The interior's got some burger stuff, some soda fountain stuff, some, you know, kitchen type things. There is tray return garbage here. We've got these windows. Originally this had an island that would come out here, and there's a McDonald's sign that sticks in it, and then there's a couple of cars that pull up like they're in a drive-in kind of environment. And this is really cool just to have as a background building, especially if you're bringing in some of those Sesame Street brownstones and then you stick a McDonald's in. This thing is just a cool space filler. You can turn it different angles. You may choose to put something inside of it, so as you get rid of the background you can see the white here. You might want to fill it up with something, maybe just dark paper. Maybe that's all it takes. The one I have is kind of beat. I paid very little for it. It's got a bunch of cracks that I glued. If you do find one of these, try and get one with the full name on the front, and try and get one with the sign that comes out to here. But for the most part, it's just a kind of a cool molded plastic roof and a little red brick building that you can throw in just about anywhere. Alright, everybody should have some kind of a tree fort set. I'm not sure exactly why. I wouldn't put this on my list of things to get right out of the gate, but if I saw one, I would definitely get one. This one is a Kaloo, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Not sure. I think it's some Canadian show or British show. Commonwealth show. And it's a cool little playhouse. It's got ability to open it up and put characters inside, etc. I think the whole thing actually, I think the whole thing comes apart and opens up. So you've got some different sets that way. You could put a little bit of paint on the fence. You could do a wash on the wood and on the roof to make it kind of pop out. Nothing wrong with that. You can see on this particular one, it's got a cool tire swing, and it's actually a pretty cool tire. And what's interesting is that it's probably some other toy line of theirs that required this tire, some truck or something, and they just moved these over. And there you go. This was, according to this, $3.99 for this guy. Not a bad price, not free though, of course. There's a lot of different play forts available by different companies, and you probably see the one from the 70s. That's the giant one that, like, you click it and the whole thing opens up. So any of those could be worth something. I'm not sure exactly who gets to be in the play fort, other than it's usually like some type of kids, or if you want to like have an adult who's pretending to be a kid, you put them in the play fort. So this is kind of probably low on most people's list, but if it comes up in your local thrift store, if you're hunting for this kind of thing, snag it. All right, everybody needs generic housing. Everyone needs just a generic house, and there are lots and lots and lots and lots to choose from. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm just going to show you what I found. You may find something similar, or once you've seen these yourself, you may go looking for them. This is a Calico Critters house. So this would have had a bunch of rabbits and stuff inside of it. And you can see that it uses a lot of this sort of very modern plastic. Right? It's very strong, yet kind of thin. It's got a weird sheen to it. I'm sure it's got a lot of weird chemicals. This one actually takes batteries. I think there's a light up here that comes on. There's not a whole lot going on in the room, so you could, if you shot in them as rooms, you might want to take a floor out if you could, so that you could get a better camera angle. But you might want to dress it up and use it. I think the best way to use this is as a house with a person standing outside of it, or maybe at the window. And this one gives you a lot of different options of shooting. Yeah, see, there's where the battery compartment was. This particular house was not a lot of money, as I recall. I think I paid somewhere about $6 for it. I think that's the button for it. There is also something like this. Okay, this is a FisherPrice. Obviously, I don't know if you can see where it says FisherPrice right on it, but this is like a FisherPrice. I think this is considered like a Tudor home, or it's two-story. So we've got a garage, which is kind of cool, and it's $3.99 price tag on this, and opens up like this if you want to, you know, make it look like it's two houses. You could do something like that. You could use a wash on the plastic roof, make it pop out, look a little more real. Basically, it's got the stickers on it, so you're just going to let the stickers do its thing. There's the back of the garage. There are, of course, insides to it, interiors. They are stickers. They're not great. They're basically just walls with windows, but you never know. If that's all you've got, that's all you've got. So something old, something new. The Calico Critters house is pretty badass. And then there's the old school FisherPrice. I believe that there is another one just like this that is a little different sticker configuration, but same plastic. So it's like they use the same plastic, but they made a second different toy. As always, you can pick these things up and carry them around. And look at that. That's kind of a cool shooting angle too. So these are all useful dogs. Just a couple more to go here in the first round of show and tell. This is an interesting piece. It's Imaginex, of course, and it's a combination of fire, police, and rescue all in one building, but it's got a cool facade with some brick and some real kind of turn-of-the-century metal looking pieces plus these lights. This is kind of cool if you're looking for something a little more Art Deco, a little more historical, like here's an example pic using the Silent Screamer Maria robot with grub. So this is a good piece. I of course have painted mine a little bit. I added some browns to it. I added some desert yellow to it, and then I did a pretty dark wash. It looks kind of overly dirty, but you know, the camera has to pick up something interesting in the background, and seems to do the job. Now everyone in their arsenal should have some type of tech deck or fingerboard skate stuff to pose with. I got really lucky, and at my local thrift store for not much money there was a wooden ramp made by a company called Fingerboard or Fingerboards, and it was unassembled. It was all pieces, and I put it together, and it never really, you know, quite looked sort of perfect, but it does look like an authentic made wooden thing rather than just a piece of plastic. So this is kind of cool. Another set everybody should have in the arsenal is some type of wrestling ring. Of course, there are sort of two sizes. There's this size for the 6-inch or 7-inch figures, and they also do 2-inch wrestling figures, minifigures, and there is a smaller ring available for that. And I recommend you get one of each. If you have to pick between one or the other, of course get the bigger one, right? And remember, you're only, you know, shooting parts of it at a time, so the overall size is not a big deal. But the more space is the more space. I got mine together in an auction with some stuff, so double bonus for me, you know, because now I don't have to shop them out, but everybody needs to get themselves some wrestling rings. So that's the end of intro to playsets, generic buildings, etc. Part 1, we'll call it. Part 2 is coming up. That is where we will do a show and tell of all the various pirate ships and associated vehicles that are available for you to pick up next to nothing out there and make cool shots with. So, next one.